The Fortnite community has one of the most vibrant storytelling fan bases. They have single-handedly revived the creepypasta genre, giving us a slew of different terrifying stories for players and horror aficionados alike to dive into. Here on Top 10 Gaming, we have seen a whole lot of amazing creepypastas from all sorts of writers, amateur ones and professionals, and they have scared the pants off of us. So today we are returning to one of our most beloved gaming series on our channel, our list of the top 10 scariest Fortnite creepypastas, coming at you with a part 6. That's a lot. That means by the end of this video, we're gonna be hitting 60 different stories. But before we begin this video, just want to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is a brand new RPG title that already has almost 10 million players and is growing. With awesome graphics, strategic gameplay, insane boss fights, and an amazing storyline, it is jam-packed with never-ending excitement. There are over 400 champions that you can collect and personally customize. Like this dude here, Gale. He is an orc, and look at him, look how dope those graphics are. That armor, so cool. But another one of my favorites is Sniper. Look at that bow. I mean, you could take someone out with that. The graphics are just super thoughtful and awesome and looks just like any of your other favorite RPG titles from consoles. There is literally something for everybody with this game, whether you're in it to collect cool characters, want an awesome narrative to dive into, or you just love RPGs in general. You can even combat against other players in PvP battles in the arena, or check out the PvE in dungeons. And hey, maybe if you're lucky, you can hit us up and join our clan, which was aptly titled Kelly Paladin. Get it? Like paladin? So come and find us. There's also constant content updates, which makes going back and playing never a stale experience. There's always something to do. And in addition to that, there is an awesome loyalty program for new players. And you get new daily login rewards for the first 90 days that you play. It's free to play too. So what are you guys waiting for? Raid Shadow Legends has an almost perfect score on the Play Store. So you know it's pretty darn great. Make sure you guys check out the link in our video description below and download Raid Shadow Legends today. You will get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as part of the new player program, and that's really, really cool. Do it now. You guys won't regret it. At number 10, Don't Drown by FlipLaScript. We are starting off our list with a creepypasta from the Fortnite creepypasta king himself, FlipLaScript, whose channel is full with some of the most creative and brilliant creepypastas that we have ever seen. This one is called Don't Drown. The story starts off with our narrator informing us that Starfish had just appeared in the shop for the first time. He tells us that he refused to buy her. She is evil and no one should ever purchase her. A month previously, at the start of Season 9, our narrator had hit up Lazy Lagoon since the pirate ship was still in the bay, and it was great for loot. Starting up a game of solos, they landed on the pirate ship, but unfortunately 3 other people had landed there too. But before he knew it, a player wearing Starfish, who appeared to look like a siren in the water, knocked out all of those other players. In the kill feed it read, "Drowned." Something he had never seen before. Slightly creeped out, he decided it would be best to move on elsewhere. More and more players began to appear in the feed as drowned, until he realized that he was the final person left with the Starfish player. Leaving the boat, he hears a song in his headset. Turning around, he sees Starfish. He was falling into a trance not only in the game but in real life too, fixated on Starfish. Then the 2 players she had drowned appeared out of the water, looking like water zombies covered in algae. They began to build, so our narrator built too, and then finally killed them. That's when he saw Starfish again. Her eyes though had changed to red, and she dragged his character under the water. He had no control. He struggled. Eventually on the kill feed it stated that his character had drowned. He then passed out in real life. When he woke up, he was coughing up water. Up next, number 9, Forever Gone by Mr. Gruesome. Mr. Gruesome is another creepypasta creator that we've featured on lists of ours in the past. Their stuff is pretty awesome. This story begins by our narrator telling us that their tale initially occurred a month and a half ago. After school one day, he had started up a match of Fortnite. Seeing that his best friend was there, he joined their lobby and plugged in his mic. But before he could say hi, he heard his friend sobbing. Then he heard his friend say, "Kyle, why did you join? Why? Why?" He kept repeating over and over, "I trust you with my life," ignoring Kyle's questioning. When the duo started up, his friend had changed his tone entirely, as if he was never sobbing. The game carried out as normal. Out of nowhere then, his friend gets sniped. Our narrator goes to help him, but his friend screams into his mic, "No, we have no time, just survive, we cannot lose this game." Our narrator, distracted, gets sniped too. But then in real life, he feels a large push of air. In his headphones, an ear-piercing shriek deafens him. By the time he comes to and gets to the pre-game screen, he sees a player that he's never met before, who comes up to him. In his headset he hears someone whisper, "Game over." Freaking out in real life, he runs over to his friend's house to check on them, only to have a woman open the door who wasn't his mother. He didn't recognize her. He asks the strange woman where his friend was, but she has no idea who he's talking about. His friend since had disappeared entirely. No one remembers him, except for our narrator. Up next, number 8, The Happenings from Codename Horror. The narrator in the story begins by saying they're over at their friend's house, a friend named Quinn, on a Friday night for a sleepover, along with their buddy Jake. They all decide to play Fortnite, having brought all of their consoles over to the house. The three of them turned them on to play and started playing in squads. But this is where things got weird. They needed a 4th player, and when that 4th squad mate joined up, they had a weird gamer tag. It was actually pretty garbage. When they tried to talk to them, all they could hear was breathing until a high-pitched noise pierced through their speakers, breaking all of their headsets, forcing them to use the audio from their TVs instead. They started the match. Almost immediately, there was a bright flash of light that came out of their screens. When it was gone, their friend, Jake, had entirely disappeared. It was just Quinn and our narrator remaining. They heard a crash coming from another room in the house, so they went to investigate, and there was Jake, lying on the floor barely breathing, as if he had fallen through the ceiling. The TV started to glitch and a face appeared, a deathly grim one, warning them that if they continued to play, the same thing would happen to our narrator and Quinn. But regardless, they kept playing. Eventually they made it through to the top 10 of the match. Quinn was killed. When our narrator looked over at him in real life, he was entirely still with a trickle of blood coming down from his mouth. It was just our narrator and their 4th squad member. All of a sudden, the house in real life lost power. Our narrator turned around to see the face from the TV. Next thing they knew, the air was being sucked from their lungs and they entirely blacked out. When they woke up, they were in the hospital. They had been in a coma for 5 months. And their friends? They had died from seizures. And at number 7, Burned Team Leader from Flip Less Script. Here we have another one from Flip Less Script that's 4th of July themed. That's for all of our American viewers out there. So the narrator warns those to not fire off fireworks in real life. They appear to be the firework team leader in Fortnite, but they are anything but. They love the smell of fireworks, they are obsessed with them, and how they look in the sky. They tell of a legend of how using fireworks can summon him, and that if you shoot off fireworks, he'll pull out a grenade and really give you an explosive holiday that you won't forget. If you bought the firework team leader skin and shoot fireworks without them, they'll become angry, and their other persona, the burned team leader, will come out and come for you. You won't see him next to you pulling that grenade pin. Short but sweet. Moving on to 6, Tommy the Tomato from Fallout Boy Man. This story follows a player who encountered a freaky looking version of Tomato Head in their game, who claimed that his name was Tommy. After being thoroughly creeped out by this strange player, our narrator tried to report the encounter to Epic Games, only to get a mysterious gibberish message response. So they began a new match, only to come across Tommy again. Trying to avoid him, it seemed that Tommy would go everywhere he went, ruthlessly killing players in a way they had never seen before in the game. After winning the match, the narrator fell asleep where he had awful nightmares. Tommy appeared to him in those dreams, demanding for him to play. Compelled, our narrator got up and began to play again, and Tommy appeared, with his killings being just as gruesome. They had an unspoken agreement. Our narrator would play the game and Tommy would go around and kill brutally, but would never touch our narrator, always making sure that he won matches. Talk about a grim trade-off. And at number 5, Crawlers from Reaper Play Z. This story's narrator begins by telling us how he and his friends decided to drop into Lonely Lodge. When the narrator's character landed, he saw something horrific. A nest of spiders had emerged from the ground and started crawling about everywhere. In real life, he felt something on his shoulder, but just before he turned to look, his friends started yelling at him over chat. There were enemies incoming and he needed to be prepared, so he decided to focus on the game. But the more he played, he couldn't shake the feeling that all over his body, under his clothes, it felt as if he had tiny bugs crawling along his skin. They started biting. Finally, he looked down and pulled off his shirt, and to his disgust, he saw what looked like baby spiders on his chest. He ran into the bathroom, ignoring his friends over the mic. When the spiders were gone and he flushed them down the toilet, he returned to his computer and his friends blamed him for throwing the match. They did not believe him about the spiders. So they started up another match, this time choosing to land at Haunted Hills. The spiders were back, all over the graveyard. One of his friends approached, and next thing he knew, he heard his friend screaming over chat, and our narrator knew that he was experiencing the same thing he had. The same thing happens again and again and again with his entire team of friends. Eventually, all of his friends had been attacked by spiders in real life and had ditched the game, and it was just our narrator playing. Going into a solo match, he realized that he didn't see spiders anywhere. But that's when it happened. He spotted a large shadow lurking behind him. He turned around in the game to see the most shocking of things, a giant spider looming above him. He watched it swallow another player whole. Luckily, our narrator had a rocket launcher and fired it at the spider, resulting in a gruesome explosion. His game crashed, returning him to the lobby. He ended the story with saying that if you land in a game and see spiders, leave the match immediately. It's really for your own good. Up next at 4, Filter Mature Language. This is the story of a player who discovered a new setting in the game, the Filter Mature Language setting. After turning it off, he realized his friend was online. It was a friend he hadn't played with in months, so he was eager to join him in a match. After getting killed by someone wearing the Raven skin, they started up another match, but surprise surprise, they were killed by the exact same player, wearing that Raven skin. Except they noticed something strange. Now there was blood all over the skin. Over and over again, they would find themselves in matches always ending up getting killed by this Raven player, who had more and more blood on their outfit as they progressed. All of a sudden, his power in his house went off. He turned around and the Raven skin was right there. He ran, freaking out. The Raven chased him. He called his friend and told him what had happened in a panic, and his friend told him the only way that he would survive is if he went back to the game and turned the filter back on. And as soon as he did, the Raven disappeared. He no longer saw a Raven covered in blood in any of the matches. So he decided after that he would never turn the filter off again. True story, or just a way for parents to keep their kids away from swearing in Fortnite? Moving into number 3, The Boy from Wailing Woods from Mr. Gruesome. This is the story of a player who, with their group of friends, would go to Wailing Woods religiously, always landing in the trees and managing to get loot and resources like no other in that area. But this one time when their friends weren't online, they decided to do the usual routine anyway. Despite not being the best player, as they admitted, they tried a solo game, hoping that Wailing Woods would still give them a decent start. They managed to get all of the loot chests there and got a decent selection of weapons. They moved on, making their way to an RV in the game. Next to it was a strange item. It looked like a doll of a little boy, but it was visibly laughing. Curious, they picked it up. All of a sudden, that RV's door swung open. Scared half to death, the player watched as a pale white body came out of it, grabbed the boy out of their player's hands, and then went to a nearby bench and started cradling it. So naturally the player shot at them. The white figure then got up and began to scream, "Do not touch Danny." Alerted, the player's mother in real life ran into the room to see what was wrong when her kid was screaming. The player turned to face her, about to explain, but his mother just stared expressionless at the TV and walked back out of the room. When the player turned around, their screen was actually pitch black. So the player tried to reboot their Xbox, but it was no use. Annoyed, they decided to go over to their friend's house and told them the story, and they laughed about it. As the player was walking home though, in real life, they cut through a park. That's when they saw the unimaginable, a white figure cradling a doll that looked just like the one he had found in the game. Talk about eerie. And at number 2, Summer Scares from Flipless Script. Getting seasonal for you all with another one from Flipless Script at this number. This follows the story of a player who had an unfortunate situation during the 14 Days of Summer event launched in the game. He witnessed a cutscene, something that most players never saw. It was a beach party and all of the skins were there except for Drift. Drift had bad luck and needed to find beach clothes. According to the scene, the last person to show up at the party had to buy all of the drinks and food for dinner that night. So Drift went shopping, got everything he needed, but made a stop at Neo Tilted. The cutscene didn't show what he grabbed, but continued with Drift heading to the party at the beach. He began cooking all of the food for dinner, working the grill, appearing entirely sane and happy, despite, having to buy and cook everyone dinner. The cutscene faded to later in the day with everyone at a large table eating and enjoying the food. All of them except for Drift, who was not eating. Someone asked if they had seen Jonesy from Neo Tilted. The camera then panned to an empty seat. Drift said nothing. Finally, the camera moved to where Drift was grilling initially, and paused over the trash can where there was a package of meat. On the package was Jonesy. They were eating Jonesy. The cutscene ended and our narrator felt sick, hoping that no one saw what they had seen. And finally, in at number 1, The Devil Was My Dubs Partner from Flipless Script. Last but not least, we have another one from Flipless Script to end off our video. This player begins his story by sharing an experience with us he had during duos. He got his partner, someone else playing on Xbox, but he wasn't really a fan of talking to random people, doing his best to not get trolled. This person, his partner, didn't talk, but the two of them began to work together really well initially, knocking out a few players. Eventually, after a few kills, his partner's mic turned on and he said, "Michael, we better win or your soul is mine." The voice sounded demonic, to the point where the player actually thought it might have been coming from a voice changer. But more importantly, how did he know his name? They headed to Neo Tilted from Shifty Shaft. Creeped out still, they were attacked by another team, but he did his best to hold his own. His teammate went down, but luckily he was able to get that team down on his own. He went over to his teammate and rebooted him. The teammate then goes on mic again and says, "You almost went to hell." Freaking out, our narrator believed that this was real and that he was speaking to the devil. How else would he have known his name? There were 30 people left in the match, so he focused on winning, trying to ignore his panic. Now there wasn't a whole lot of action after that, up until there were 6 players left with the circle closing in on Salty Springs. Everyone was in separate forts shooting at one another. Our narrator managed to knock out one duo. The devil then went on his mic a third time and says, "You've come so far, but second place is still a loss." He was right, but our player was shaking. He swore he could hear distant sounds of suffering in the game. After a few seconds of shooting at the final duo, there was a big battle and his partner goes down. Everyone was badly hurt. He heard over the mic, "If you lose, everything you know and love will be gone." So he gave it his all. He couldn't fail. He stepped up, set a trap, killing both of his opponents. He was then returned to the lobby and greeted by a present from his teammate. The text read, "See, I wasn't lying." He opened the gift, and to the horror of our narrator, he saw a photo of himself, moments before he had initially begun the match with the devil. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which one of these was your favorite? Let us know in those comments below. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for more lists just like this one. And more creepypastas, we've got a lot of them. Also, before you guys go, another big thanks to our sponsor of this video, Raid Shadow Legends. Be sure to check them out in the video description below. In the meantime though, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.